The case itself, as I said, has unanswered question. Was it staged? Was it done in a sense to blackmail something, to extort? But either way, Prakash Singh, it reveals in many ways the fact that the police itself can turn rogue. The possibility now exists increasingly of cops, even at lower levels, believing that they can run their own independent fiefdoms. From all indications from Mumbai, Sachin Vaze, who was I know that MN Singh doesn't like to use the word encounter cops, but was part of Pradeep Sharma's crack team in the late 1990s, appears to believe that he could actually be almost an independent entity. Does that surprise you?
Look, Sardeep, this Rajesh, about this episode. See, as you rightly said, there are several unanswered questions, and those have been framed rightly by you. So I would not like to comment on that. But coming to Sachin Vaze's role in the entire episode, in spite of what MN Singh has said just now, I'm inclined to think that such, you see, an ASI is a very, very junior officer. He could not be indulging in such high-profile cases, trying to frame or concoct such high-profile cases and placing gelatine sticks in a Scorpio car outside the leading industries of the country. He could not be doing this without some hierarchical support. And the hierarchical support would not be there unless there is political patronage. I think it shows clearly it's a classic case of nexus between the politicians, between the police and the criminals who are not yet known. It definitely establishes a nexus. And this nexus, we have been talking about this nexus for more than, almost 2 decades. But nothing has been done to break this nexus. It continues to thrive. And the big lesson from this episode, of course, the appropriate lessons will be drawn only after the NIA completes its investigation. But even now, one could say the big lesson of this is that there is very, very strong need to depoliticize the police, to insulate the police from political pressures. Because unless these pressures are, once these pressures are there, a lot of police officers prefer to fall in line instead of taking a stand. And when the senior officers fall in line, the junior officers are bound to follow suit.
So
they all want to, as they say, Bhati Ganga mein haath dhona hai. Because there's a lot of money involved in such crimes. So everyone wants to make hay while a political establishment shines.
So, the question though I want to ask Yashovardhan Azad, is it the police acting on the behest of the politicians? Or at times that the politicians are simply at one level now have lost control in a way of police officers like Sachin Vaze. Sachin Vaze is someone who was brought back to the police force, had joined the Shiv Sena as a party, had set up business ventures. What's the message that's therefore going out? That a police officer can come into the police force when he wants, can leave and return and get all the high profile cases. Who was using whom?
What it actually reveals is that if you create a Frankenstein, then the Frankenstein goes out of control at times. There's no doubt about that. First, let me agree totally with Mr. Prakash Singh that this was a very ham-handed kind of attempt at extortion, and it cannot be done only at a very, very junior ASI level, API level, that is Sachin Vaze. Sachin Vaze, I agree with Mr. Singh also that he was actually a Shiv Sainik in uniform, and the way he was brought back is clearly evident of the full support he had of the top brass in the political establishment, as well as, say, in the hierarchy of the police, which is most unfortunate. This has been a practice, this exposes the dirty underbelly of Bombay, where the politicians and the lower police officers, sometimes the senior police officers, gamut together and then sort of create this kind of a situation. Now, what is most disturbing is that in a case like this, which is a straight shot case, could have easily been done by ATS, NIA has taken it over. Now remember, Rajdeep, that in this case there were gelatin sticks found. Gelatin sticks can be bought from anywhere. The mining people use it. There was no detonator in it. Therefore, it did not have a terrorist angle, and it was quite evident that this was a kind of a crime with a purpose. There was a threat letter, and there was also, say ki itna paisa yahan pe jama kar do. So, unfortunately, the NIA took over. Why did the NIA take over? Because they realized as the state police will not do it. Tomorrow, if this is the situation in the country about investigation, we've had it. So what it means is that while investigation we should report it directly to the court, let the law and order, etc., be in the hands of the state government, because otherwise we are in.
So, but how is the state police going to conduct an independent investigation, Yashovardhan Azad, against their own? If the reports are suggesting that the police commissioner and Mr. Vaze were working in tandem, as is being effectively alleged, who's going to conduct the probe? And you've got a central government of the BJP and a state government of the Shiv Sena.
But that's exactly what I'm saying, Rajdeep. If the police has the requisite degree of autonomy, if the DGP or the police commissioners totally report to the court for investigations, they won't care a damn what the state government tells them. Today, it is very important because even Mr. Ribeiro has written in an article today that the Metropolitan London Police Commissioner was also telling him that they have the same problem with encounter specialists. And if these specialists have the support of the political authority, where do you go?